Ketu is zero. Ketu is shunya. Ketu is a nobody. And yet Ketu can get you to everybody. When you become zero, that is shunya, when you become absolutely nothing, a nothingness, a nobody, then you have attained. It is only when you attain, when you self-realize, when you are enlightened, that you can heal others. And so I have been saying again and again that at the root of healing power is the most benevolent Ketu, one who has no head, and only one who has no head can jump, and only one who can jump can attain, can experience the beyond. People say, think twice before you jump. But the Master says, jump first and then think as much as you want. Such men are very few, 1 in a million. People want to know many things, they talk a lot, so much of knowledge they exhibit, and yet when it comes to taking the jump, they start shaking. They start raising many doubts, and so Arjuna is 1 in a million. Ananda is a 1 in a million. Peter the fisherman is 1 in a million. They jumped. They simply jumped without thinking. When you think, the mind is in play, the head is in play, and the mind won't let you jump. Arjuna, Ananda, Peter, they were great souls who had overcome the monkey mind. And so when Krishna says to Arjuna, shoot at that old man Bhisma, follow your dharma, Arjuna simply shoots. He simply shoots his arrow at that old man who loved him the most, whom he also loves the most, Bhisma. But when the Master says shoot, Arjuna simply shoots. That is the stage of no mind, and that is the most beautiful stage of Ketu. When Jesus meets Peter the fisherman for the very first time and says, Peter, follow me, I will make you the fisher of men. Peter the fisherman simply drops everything and starts following Jesus. He is not even aware of who Jesus is. He is an illiterate man, and yet he could see that this man is something else. That the words of this young man are so deep, his eyes, there is so much grace, that Peter simply could not even think. He simply jumps into the unknown, and that is Ketu, that is courage. It is only through the state of no mind, Ketu, you can become courageous. Peter indeed was the most courageous man, and the same Peter the fisherman goes on and becomes one of the 12 apostles of Jesus, one of the 12 disciples of Jesus, and later is revered as Saint Peter in the Christian faith. That is the power of faith. That is the beauty of no mind. That an illiterate fisherman became one of the greatest saints in the Christian faith. Peter the fisherman becomes Saint Peter. Ananda, what an innocent man he was. Yes, he had some ignorance, but he simply was so much devoted to Buddha that he followed him for 40 years, 40, 40 years, like a shadow. He remained with Buddha. Ananda becomes the shadow of Buddha. Ananda was also a prince. He belonged to a royal family. He was the elder cousin brother of Buddha, and yet he jumped. He left everything behind and came in search of his younger brother, whom the world had been addressing as the Buddha. And Ananda loved Buddha, but his love had become possessive. And the moment your love becomes possessive, Ketu takes a backseat. And when Ketu, that is the detachment, takes a backseat, your spiritual progress, your enlightenment is blocked. And that is exactly what happened with Ananda. He spent 40 years with Buddha and yet he could not attain. And now, when Buddha was dying, when Buddha was about to leave his human body, Ananda started crying. He could not control himself. He broke out with such a cry that Buddha noticed it and said, Ananda, why you cry? Ananda said, I am not crying because you are leaving. I am crying because once you are gone, there will be nobody of your caliber for centuries to come. And I am still not enlightened. Those who came after me have been enlightened with your grace, with your blessings, but I haven't yet been enlightened. Why? Buddha said, Ananda, when you met me for the first time, you laid 3 conditions. Those 3 conditions became a hurdle between you and your attainment. Ananda remembered those 3 conditions. Those 3 conditions were to help him stay with Buddha, and he stayed for 40 years, but no luck. Enlightenment never happened to him. Ananda asked, Now what? Buddha said, Now I have to die first. Only then you will be enlightened. With my death, all your conditions that I had accepted will cease. You will then attain. And it is said that after Gautam Buddha died, Ananda attained enlightenment. Conditions block you. When you love, let there be no conditions. The word progress is the basic disease of the modern age. What is the need? All that can be enjoyed is available. All that you need to be happy is here and now. But you create conditions and you say that unless these conditions are fulfilled, you cannot be happy. As if by being happy, you are going to oblige the whole universe. Strange is this world, and strange are the ways of the people of this world. Ketu has no conditions because Ketu operates without head, without mind. And so a real disciple, a real follower, when follows the master, he would never remember the blows of the master because there is no head. All that there is the heart, and the heart can only feel. The heart cannot hold on to anything in the true sense. The heart is detached by nature. What makes you attached is your mind, and therefore the mind is always against Ketu, because it knows that the energy of Ketu can eliminate all the illusions that the mind goes on creating. It happened once. Hassan and a few Sufi mystics were walking through the forest, and they all met Rabia, the great Sufi saint. Expressing their love for the master, Hassan says, "None is sincere in his claims to the love of God unless he patiently endures the blows of his Lord." Rabia smiles and says, "This smells egoism." Another Sufi saint, Sakik, says, "None is sincere in his claim unless he gives thanks for the blows of the Lord." Rabia again smiles and says, "This must be still bettered. Still some ego is there." Malik, another Sufi saint, says, "None is sincere in his claim unless he delights in the blows of his Lord." Rabia again smiled and said, "Good, but still needs to be improved. A very subtle ego is still hiding like a shadow." Then they all said, "Rabia, you yourself say, you guide us." And Rabia, one of the greatest Sufi saint, she says, "None is sincere in his claim unless he forgets the blow in beholding his Lord." How beautiful is this, my fellows, and how deep. They all loved the master, but they could not forget the blows of the master. And here is Rabia, the greatest Sufi saint, who says, when love is total, the blows cannot be remembered. So where is the question of being delighted to receive the master's blows, or thankful, or tolerate the blows? The blows simply does not exist. A devoted disciple forgets the blows in beholding his compassionate, benevolent master. Even when the master hits, you feel tremendously happy. And the master has to hit to make openings in your being. You have grown a hard crust around yourself that was necessary for survival. Otherwise, you would not have survived at all. You had to protect yourself against so many dangerous situations in life. But when you come to a master, you have to drop that armor. And the armor may have gone so deep that you cannot drop it. Then the master has to hit you. The master has to use a sledgehammer. He has to cut many chunks of your being because they are not really part of your being. And when those chunks are removed and cut, it is painful. It hurts, but only then the master can pour himself into you. The master can pour himself into you only when you have no mind. Only when you have overcome the mind. Only when your mind is merged into your heart. And there is no mind but tremendous intelligence. Ketu therefore brings intelligence. But this intelligence is of very deep, very unique, and very rebellious by nature. Truth has always been rebellious. Jesus was rebellious. He goes to the pagan temples and asks the people to stop doing business on the name of these god idols. Muhammad, the prophet, was rebellious. He too went against the business of religion and the corruption that was happening on the name of God and idols. Buddha too was rebellious. He too went against the corruption that was happening on the name of religion. Intelligence is always rebellious by nature. The society cannot face the intelligent. The society always is afraid of an intelligent man or an intelligent woman. The society is always afraid of Ketu because Ketu brings intelligence, and intelligence can unmask the fake and bring forth the truths. Intelligence is dangerous. Intelligence means you will start thinking on your own. You will start looking around on your own. You will not believe in the scriptures. You will believe only in your own experience. Intelligence is of the heart consciousness, also addressed as God consciousness in the West or Krishna consciousness in the East. Never confuse intelligence with intellectualism. Intellectualism is of the head, that is Mercury. Intelligence is of the consciousness, that is the Sun. And the way towards consciousness is paved by Ketu. And therefore it is in the sign of Leo where Ketu presides like an emperor by taking the lordship of the nakshatra Magha. How beautiful is all this, my fellows, and how beautiful it can be. There is no limit, there never was. And so Leo, the sign of consciousness, the sign of sun, has its first nakshatra as Magha, ruled by Sri Ketu. And therefore sun feels home in the nakshatra of Magha. Sun is extremely comfortable in the royal abode of Ketu in Magha nakshatra. Magha is called the royal abode. Royalty is closely associated with Ketu, but the royalty, the king, the Raja Yoga that Ketu brings is something beyond this material world. You become the king of kings, but you roam naked, and yet you become king of kings. You become a Diogenes. He had nothing, and yet he had that which emperors and kings never had. He was one of the greatest yogi of the West, a greatest saint. Now tell me, when you say, I am king, there should be absolute freedom. No worries, no tensions, no obstructions, no obsessions, no possessions. Such a freedom neither Alexander the Great had, and nor any emperors who have been through this human world ever had such a freedom. Such a freedom only Jesus had, only Prophet had, only Mahavira had, only Krishna had, only Buddha had. Only a yogi could experience total freedom, and only that man and that woman who can experience total freedom is the real king. Ketu enables you to reach the state of total freedom. And therefore the nakshatra of Magha is addressed as the royal abode, the real king's seat. Because it is here where you become a great yogi, or you get the capacity to become a great yogi. Yogi Paramahansa Yogananda had a Leo ascendant with Magha Nakshatra rising. And what a great yogi he was! What a beautiful autobiography he wrote, that it moved the hearts of millions across the globe. My salute to His Holiness Paramahansa Yogananda, one of the greatest divine masters. Sun feels home in the nakshatra of Ketu, Magha. Consciousness feels home in the abode of Ketu. The sign of Leo, therefore, is not in its entirety beneficial for the Sun. The Sun feels home. The Sun has all the abilities to expand your consciousness only as long as it is placed in the Magha Nakshatra of Leo sign. The moment Sun moves to Purva Falguni Nakshatra, it starts becoming uncomfortable. And therefore I meet many who wonder that why Sun, in spite of being in Leo sign, does not favor in its totality. Purva Falguni Nakshatra is the nakshatra of Venus, and Sun is in contrast to Venus. The energy of Sun is completely opposite to the energy of Venus. Sun wants to uplift you, and Venus wants you to remain attached to material pleasures. How can this marriage work? And so Sun in Leo works beautifully, helping you to grow spiritually as long as it is in the nakshatra of Magha. Interestingly, many royal figures are also born on Magha. And when Ketu connects material planets, royalty comes. And when Ketu connects with spiritual planets, spirituality of highest nature comes. In both cases, you remain in the abode of Ketu, Magha, the royal abode. That's why the ancient seers have high regards for Magha, the nakshatra of Ketu. Ketu is Shunya, zero. The West mentions the state of Shunya as emptiness, nothingness, nobodiness. It is good to be a nobody because love happens only when you are in the true sense a nobody. If you remain I am somebody, love is not possible because ego is completely filled within you. God is not possible, so it is necessary to self-realize the significance of being a nobody, the significance of nothingness, the significance of emptiness, and only that man and woman can understand this significance who is meditating every day, who is coming closer and closer to the self, the consciousness. Such a man, such a woman can relate to the energy of Ketu, can listen to what it is saying, can follow its directions. The label on the door says, to open the door, pull. But you are pushing and pushing and pushing. How will the door open? When a job is lost, you continue to hit the same spot again and again and again. When life wants you to explore other opportunities, all your life you have been pushing the door because you only know one way. You have never tried to explore the other way, the way to pull open the door. And this is deep, my fellows. And this is something that every individual should meditate upon. And this happens only when you have the support of Ketu. Only then you can turn inwards. Only then you can explore the many possibilities of opening the closed door. God has been knocking on your door many times. But what stops you from opening the door is your belief. You believe that there is only one way to open the door. It is your belief that comes in between your experience. And the irony of this human world is that people go by belief and not by experience. Whenever Ketu is in a specific planet's nakshatra, Ketu brings nothingness to the matters of that planet. Through this nothingness, Ketu wants you to pull the door and walk out, experience the ultimate freedom from those matters that are ruled by that planet. Get detached. One day Mohan came and said, "How come I never had a chance to meet my mother? When I was 4 years old, she left me, and then I just know that somewhere she is alive. But neither she contacted me, and nor have I. So, how do you see this happening? Please help me with your insights on this strange happening of my life, the absence, the total absence of my mother in my life." I said, "Mohan, nowadays you have started to think a lot. That is not good. Thoughts become hurdles to your progress in meditation. So be aware." Mohan said, "But this has been troubling me for many days and months, and so your answer will help me to understand and to move on." Sometimes you have to answer. Mohan was a close follower with a strong focus on meditation. Not answering him would have blocked his progress in meditation. And so I said, "Mohan, look at your birth chart. Open it." Mohan opened his birth chart and I said, "Look where your moon is." Mohan said, "Moon is in the 6th house. But I have many friends who have moon in the 6th house and still they have their mother. There is no absence of mother in their lives." I smiled and said, "Look further. Ketu is in which nakshatra?" Mohan said, "In Rohini nakshatra." I asked, "Who is the lord of Rohini nakshatra?" Mohan said, "Moon." I said, "Moon rules the matters related to mother. Ketu in moon's nakshatra is bringing shunyata, emptiness in the matters of mother. Further, your moon is also in conjunction with Ketu. So again the emptiness related to mother becomes severe. So in the dictionary of your life, the word mother is absent and will remain absent. So now let go. Do not get stuck in the matters of mother because Ketu wants to liberate you. It is the way of Ketu telling you that move on. Just the way when the doctor pricks the baby inside the womb of a pregnant woman, the baby comes out, liberated, freed. Similarly, Ketu in this life wants you to move on and not get attached to the matters related to your mother. Now get on with your life and focus on meditation. Kabir will suggest meditation. Buddha has suggested meditation. Meditation is a different approach. It has nothing to do with God. It has something to do with you, with your mind. It has to create a silence within you, a deep, utter silence. In that utter silence, you will start feeling the presence of God. Ketu is meditation, and meditation is a let go. Understand this, and I specifically appeal to all my close followers and listeners. This is very deep. Ketu is meditation, and meditation is a let go. You will come to the state of shunya, of emptiness only when you are able to let go. And Ketu, the energy of Ketu, is precisely helping you to let go. Mohan was able to let go of his attachment with his mother, but not everybody is like Mohan. They come with questions, but they are not willing to face the truth. They are not willing to listen to what Ketu has to say, to what life has to say. Understand the fact that the absence that Ketu brings, the shunyata, the emptiness that Ketu brings, is simply to awake you and help you to move on. It is a clear signal that you better remain detached from the matters that are connected with Ketu in your horoscope. Because Ketu, the master, knows that unless you become detached from these matters, you will not evolve, you will not mature, you will not grow in the true sense. When Ketu is in a positive nakshatra, it simply empowers Ketu, and that is the progressive sign for the native. Ketu loves Jupiter. He understands that the master can channelize him in the most effective way. In fact, Ketu is made for Jupiter, the master. Ketu is just the way Hanuman is, always devoted to planet Jupiter, to the master of the universe. Always. And so when Ketu is in Vishaka Nakshatra, which is ruled by Jupiter, Ketu feels home. Ketu feels comfortable. Had it been any other planet's nakshatra, Ketu would have simply moved its bulldozer on those planets and the matters they bring along. But in Vishaka Nakshatra, Ketu gets a certain depth. If Jupiter is well placed, then this placement can help in the spiritual progress. Always realize the fact that you can connect with the master only when there is no head, when you are in the state of no mind, in the state of Ketu. You have to ask yourself, what are you, a student or a disciple? Always remember, the relation of a student with the teacher is of the head, and the relation of a disciple with the master is of the heart. The disciple can melt into the master only when there is no mind, only when he or she has reached the state of no mind. Meditation is the state of no mind, no society within you, no conditioning within you, just you with your pure consciousness. In the state of no mind, truth descends like a light unto you. Then the master appears, then the communication between you and the master happens. And it all happens in silence, deep silence. Real communication happens in silence. Mind makes a lot of noise. That is one reason that I stay away from the crowd. A very few selective people only I choose, because they are taking efforts to move beyond mind through meditation. A talkative person is a headache. This talk has led to many miseries. Mohan asked, how? I said, how does a relationship begin? And Mohan said, talk, through talking. That is right. First the man and the woman start talking. Then they talk more and more over the phone, in person. And then this talking slowly starts transforming into the first step towards a bonding, a relationship. So talking is the first step, and this talking is all of the mind, and mind is a monkey. The mind goes on and on and on, and you start feeling that this woman is something or this man is something. The mind is cunning. It knows how to attract through talking. You never know what lies beneath the talking, what is the real agenda. And so, a common man falls in love through the medium of talking, communicating. But a yogi will never fall in love, because a yogi has least interest in talking, and moreover, he also can easily understand what is the hidden agenda behind your talking, your communicating. Ketu dislikes talking, Rahu likes talking. A man ruled by Rahu talks a lot. Let me tell you all that talking or communicating can bring fortunes to your material life. And there is absolutely no doubt about this. But the more you get inclined towards talking and talking, the more you go on losing yourself. The more you move away from yourself, so in the eyes of the world, you become rich. But within you, you become poorer and more poorer. By talking and talking, externally you may be gaining something, but within you are certainly losing contact with yourself. You are getting closer to people while you are becoming further removed from yourself. And the more adept you become at this game, the harder it will be for you to go into silence. The whole purpose of my sharing through this channel is to help you all move towards yourself, to help you all move towards silence. Bhagwan Raman Maharshi says, all we need to do is to keep quiet. Peace is our real nature. We spoil it. All that is needed is that we cease to spoil it. Ketu rejoices in silence. The real yogi rejoices in silence. The whole journey of this human life is to move towards silence, and that silence has to be a blissful silence, a meditative silence. Those who cannot understand the truth will ask you, tell me the truth. But how can you tell the truth when the one who is asking is still at the base level, is still an ignorant fellow? Jesus also remained silent when he was asked at the very last moment when he was put on the cross. The Roman prefect had asked, "What is the truth?" And Jesus remained silent. He just looked into the prefect's eyes and pure silence. It was a Buddhist silence, because truth can be shared, can be given only if there is a certain depth of understanding. Ketu can help you all to bring a certain depth of understanding, because Ketu can turn you inwards. And only that man and that woman can have a certain depth of understanding, who is turning inwards, who is meditating, who is coming closer to the self, the consciousness. People are running and seeking a master, a real master. My question to these people is, are you ready to become a true disciple? People want to see Krishna. The question is, are you ready to become Arjuna? Only when you become a true disciple that you can see the real master. You can feel his love. you can feel His grace, His blessings. The word disciple is very beautiful. It means one who is ready to learn. Discipline means creating a space for learning. Disciple means one who is ready to learn. But when can you learn? Only when you drop all your ego, your prejudices, your notions and ideas. Only when you become totally empty, shunya, zero, that you can become a true disciple. This state of being shunya, empty, is what Ketu brings. Only if you are able to resonate with its energy. Only then can you develop, only then can you grow in the true sense. The cup is useful because it is empty. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form, states one of the most revered Buddhist texts. As long as you are packed with all the knowledge that you have collected all along your life, how can the real, the truth penetrate into your being? You are already packed, house full. And so unless there is emptiness, you cannot grow inside out. You may go on repeating the words of Buddha, but you will not become a Buddha. To become a Buddha, you have to first become empty, a nobody, and rejoice in nothingness. Ketu, when related to Jupiter, is always beneficial for spiritual growth. The question is whether you are ready. And so come you all, and realize the fact that this is the only moment. The past is no more, and the future is not yet. This moment, now, is the only moment, and time is running. You have to decide which way you have to move on with your journey. Rahu or towards Ketu. What you choose is what you become. You are always free to choose, but you are never free from the consequences of the choice that you make. So choose wisely. When you look around and you see people who have got exactly what they have wished for, you may get carried away by thinking that they are the ones who are lucky. But let me tell you all, they are not the lucky ones. The lucky ones are those who do what they are meant to do, who come with a mission, a purpose, and work towards making that mission a success, a celebration. One of the greatest divine master, Neem Karoli Baba, says, there are people who get exactly what they want. You think they are the lucky ones, but they are not. The lucky ones are those who do what they are meant to do. An army officer fights to save his country. He may lose his life, but he has done what he was meant to do. Such men and women who work for others, whose sole purpose is to do what they are meant to, are the lucky ones, and not those who get exactly what they want. But not everybody can understand this. The majority has become slave of their mind, and the mind ensures that you never get to the bottom of the truth. Ketu helps you to overcome this monkey mind. Through Ketu you can detach yourself, and the moment detachment starts coming over you, you can start experiencing the happiness, the love, the peace you have been seeking all your life. The key is detachment. The way is through witnessing. Witnessing is the way. Remain a witness while you do a certain action. Do it without getting attached. If you are feeding someone, feed but by being detached. If you are helping someone, if you are healing someone, do it but remain a witness, just the way a military doctor is on a battleground. What he does, he simply heals the wounded soldiers one by one. He is not attached, he is simply devoted to his art of healing. He heals one soldier and moves on to the next, and then next, and next, and next. And that's all. There is absolutely no attachment. Whatever he does out of care, out of love, but that love is not attached. It moves on to the next, and that's Ketu. Ketu heals, and he can heal because there is absolute no attachment to what he does. There is absolute no agenda to what he does. There is absolute no expectations to what he does. He simply does what he is meant to do. And such a man is a lucky man. Such a man is a truly blessed man, says the divine saint Neem Karoli Baba. Ketu is emptiness, shunya. Only when you become a shunya can you witness. Only when you start letting go can you meditate. Only when you meditate that you can come to your own self-realizations. You can heal yourself, and only when you can heal yourself that you can heal others as well. The whole spiritual journey begins from Ketu, for the way towards the truth is within, and Ketu is the only energy in this whole universe that can encourage you, empower you to look within and begin on the most wonderful journey of your life, the journey within. Always remember, you have no need to travel anywhere. Journey within yourself. Enter a mine of rubies and bath in the splendor of your own light, says one of the greatest saint, Rumi. The only journey is the journey within. And my fellows, this is exactly what Ketu's message is. Those who can relate to this divine message can evolve during Ketu's Mahadasha, during Ketu's transits. And those who cannot relate will simply continue to live a miserable life. Every kundali or every horoscope is either inclined towards Ketu, that is let go, or towards Rahu, that is clinging, attached, holding on. And so first comes Rahu Ketu, and then begins the whole story of planets. That is how critical are these two ends, Rahu and Ketu. One is a Hitler, that is Rahu, and the other is a Buddha, that is Ketu. And they are two polarities that can never meet. You cannot say that I am a philosopher and I am spiritual. You either are a philosopher, that is Rahuish, or you are pure spiritual, that is Ketuish. Philosopher is like a blind man. He simply goes on and on and on and applies a hell of a logic. He may try to figure out how Krishna looks, but he has never experienced the divinity of Krishna. He may repeat the words of Buddha, but he has never experienced the divinity, the essence of Buddha. You see, a philosopher is all logic with absolute no real experience. But a spiritual person, and what a beauty he is. He is so simple, so straight, and he speaks so less. He is not lost in his past, and he is not worried about his future, because he is absolutely aware that past is no more and future is not yet. He is perfectly aware that life is flowing now in this present moment, and so he lives moment to moment. He has absolute no interest in applying any logic or calculations. He is simply happy to be here now. Meditation happens only when you are able to be here now, when your mind is in your control and is concentrating on this now moment. Such a man experiences the truth, and so whatever he shares is through his own experiences. He is not imagining, he has actually experienced. And so a spiritual person is not a philosopher, and a philosopher is not a spiritual person. Truth is hard, it may hurt, it may not go well with many people, but it can benefit a few insightful souls. You all have to decide your way. If you all ask me, then I would say, live your life as an ordinary man or an ordinary woman. Just be ordinary, but let there be so much of godliness, divinity, worship, selfless service to your being, to your life, that you become special, a truly special child of God. Be ordinary, but bring a quality of awareness to your ordinary life. Bring God to your ordinary life. Introduce God into your ordinary life. Sleep, eat, love, pray, meditate. But don't think that you are making or doing something special and then you will be special. Rahu has dragged you all into the many lustful temptations, greed, low desires, ambitions. You all have gone through this. Many must be going through this, and many may be in the waiting list to go through all of this. This Rahu showers plenty of money just to make you blind, meaning ignorant. Then you start doing many mistakes, many foolish decisions, and then when you are totally caught in Rahu's grip, which is your own past karmic creation, you start feeling utterly miserable. All the doors appear to be closed, and there seems to be no way out. But Ketu is on the other end. You miss to notice the master. You miss to realize that while you were totally drunk in the abundance of money, power, and fame, on the exact other end, a very old man was observing, waiting to see when you will wake up. And the day you wake up, you start moving towards his abode. Then you are truly changing. Then you are truly transforming. Then there is a song to your life. Then the bird starts transforming into a beautiful flower. The old man, Ketu, always waits to see when you wake up. At times, he makes someone as common as me as his medium to wake up some of you. The process continues. Like me, the old man has many such mediums. Out of millions, one may wake up, and even that is a great development. There are souls who seek liberation, and there are souls who are more interested to serve him by being his servant, God's servant. I am one of His servant. Some of you also may be His servant. Always remember, a faithful servant never retires. You can retire from your career, but you can never retire from the service of God. If you feel proud, let it be in the thought that you are the servant of God, the Son of God. Great men have the nature of a child. They are always a child before Him. So they are free from pride. All their strength is of God and not their own. It belongs to Him and it comes from Him, says Ramakrishna Paramahans, one of the greatest masters the world had ever known. Always remember, there is absolutely no reason to fear anybody or anything as long as you are walking on the path of truth. The beauty is not in advancing spiritually. The real beauty is to lose yourself in His love, in His devotion, in His service. God. The goal of Krishna consciousness is not to be spiritually advanced, it is to be servant of Krishna, says Radhanath Swami. The best way to find peace, to find bliss, and to experience abundance of joy is by losing yourself in the service of others. Ketu exactly wants this, that you have to let go all of your meanness, the I should fade away. The Holy Bible emphasizes on the fact that unless I, the ego, becomes less, the way out is impossible. The way out is possible only when I become lesser and He, God, becomes greater. One of the most significant verses in Bible that I specifically remember is the verse, He must increase, but I must decrease. Krishna says to Arjuna, you surrender to me and I will take care of you. Arjuna surrenders. Only a man who is turning inwards can surrender. Only a man who is detached can surrender. Only a man who is selfless can surrender. Only a man who has overcome the monkey mind can surrender. Only a man who has become love can surrender. Arjuna surrenders. The question that you all should ask yourself is that, why cannot you surrender? Ketu is all about letting go. Ketu is all about surrendering. Ketu is all about living your life in total surrender. Surrender is the most miraculous word, my fellows. All religions and the scriptures written under the sky simply encourages you all to live your life in total surrender. Meditation is a surrender, it is not a demand. It is not forcing existence your way. It is relaxing into the way existence wants you to be. It is a let go. After surrendering yourself to existence, to God, there is nothing left to be done. You find your peace, you find your joy, and then life starts transforming into a garden of bliss. This is how it happens. This is the way of its happening. And so come you all, let us meditate. Many lives have gone by, one more human life has come our way. And so it is for you all to decide what to do with this precious human life. Spend it by focusing on the outside, or value it by turning inwards and evolving to the higher realms of consciousness. Finally, it all comes down to consciousness. Ketu is beautiful. Ketu is immensely precious because Ketu can make you turn inward, and it is only when you start turning inwards that you can come closer to your consciousness. Bhagavan Raman Maharshi, the divine yogi, says, when we turn the mind inwards, God manifests as the inner consciousness. To all my followers, readers, listeners, and fellow travelers, I appeal every day, morning and evening, spend some quality time with yourself. Turn inwards and meditate. Meditate and meditate. Just remember your inner space and go back again and again. Your peace is within you. Your happiness is within you. All you need is to turn the mind's concentration inwards and meditate. To achieve that state of lasting happiness and absolute peace, we must first know how to calm the mind, to concentrate and go beyond the mind. By turning the mind's concentration inward upon the self, we can deepen that experience of perfect concentration. This is the state of meditation. A time should come in your life when you don't have to meditate anymore. You become meditation. And that is the maturity state of Ketu. That is the real beginning. The ending is always the beginning. The journey never ends. It never can. Love to you all, and remember, God loves you. Jai Sri Ganesha, Jai Guru.